Hello everyone and welcome to the Constructive Criticism Network. This network is here to help you improve at Magic the Gathering at every level. From Pauper Leagues to Top 1000 Mythic, we've got you covered. If you want to hear the entire network, head on over to our sponsor at puremtgo.com, where you can hear each and every show, each and every week, and check out their sponsor, MTGO Traders, and tell them that the CCMTG Network sent you. Now sit back, enjoy the show. From YouTube, podcasts, and more, here's this week's episode from ConstructiveCriticism.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mythicast. I am your Mythic co-host, Spencer, and I am joined by my other Mythic co-host, Mikalea. Hello, Mikalea.
Hello, everyone.
You actually are at Mythic Mikalea, though, so...
Yes.
It's factual. How you doing today? You took your son to the park at, early in the morning. You're like super mom.
Yeah, okay, we got up, we went out to eat and got breakfast, and then we stopped at the park afterwards. It's a great time.
I woke up, my newborn didn't sleep last night very well, and so I was a little tired, so I had to go get a Rockstar, and as I was walking out of the house, Maxwell, who was very good this morning, he did not wake up mom and baby, just got out of bed, went downstairs, watched his tablet, had a granola bar. I was like, Daddy, where are you going? Can I come? And I was like, yeah, come on. So I got him a sausage muffin, got him a chalky milk, you know. So it's a good morning. We're good parents. Taking time with our kids before we get on the internet and talk about Magic.
I have to share my parenting win with my son. The way he wakes up in the morning on the weekends is he likes to come crawl in our bed. And he whispers in my ear, I want to play Pokemon Snap with you.
That's dope.
I'm doing something right.
That's dope. My son asked me to play Lego Star Wars with him when we got home, and I was like, I have the podcast. He's like, okay. It's funny. I love it. How my son is not great at Pokemon Snap. How is yours?
Oh, not great.
Oh, all right.
I don't think there's any Pokemon in any of the photos that he takes.
That's too funny.
But he likes doing it.
That's good.
Oh, he plays the Lavacano. It's
That's
not a
the
volcano,
one.
it's a Lavacano.
That's what Maxwell likes. That's the level Maxwell likes too.
Yeah.
Something about little boys in lava, I guess. Speaking of lava, if you want to get fire hot cards from the new set, check out our sponsor. You just have to head on over to Grey Viking Games. Use the code Mythic at checkout. You get 10% off your order. You can get your pre-release pack. You can get new sleeves. You can get F&M codes, all kinds of codes over there. And then check out our other sponsor, Pure MTGO. The entire Constructive Criticism Network is their sponsor. I say it every week, but their sponsor's fire. If you're looking for cards for MTGO, head on over to Pure MTGO. They'll send you to that sweet MTGO traders. If you want to support the show directly, head on over to patreon.com/Mythicast. Mikalea, I ordered our hashtag Ready for Battle wristbands, which we're going to get to announce here in the next couple weeks. What that means, I keep talking about it, but we've been so busy. But it's exciting. I'm excited for it. So if you want one of those wristbands, if you want to support the show directly, head on over to patreon.com/Mythicast. Let's get right into this episode, though, Mikalea. It's funny, we did not give a criteria for this, and I'm interested what yours was. We're doing our top 5 cards from Adventure into the Forgotten Realm. Am I saying that set right? Is that name right?
Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. I just picked the 5 cards I wanted to talk about. I don't think these are necessarily the best 5 cards in the set, but they are the top 5 that I wanted to talk about on this podcast, and I have specific things that I want to talk about in all of them. I got to know, what was your criteria for your 5?
I was just going through seeing what looks playable, what looks fun, and also looking to the future. What's maybe something that we can be trying out in Standard 2022, which I believe is out on Arena right now.
Yeah, it's super popular.
Yeah, what are things going to look like in the future, and what might shine bright when we have some of these Eldraine cards that might shine a little bit brighter over a few of the cards on our list.
Wait, you're telling me Edgewell Innkeeper is better than all of these cards? That's crazy.
I don't know. Portable Hold does remove Edgewell Innkeeper.
Well, I'm gonna go first, Mikalea. Why don't you read Ranger's class for us?
Yes. Ranger class is 1 and a green enchantment class. The first level of this is when Ranger class enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. To level up to level 2, it's cost 1 and a green, and whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. And then level 3 is 3 and a green. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library.
So for those watching on video form, I did not have time to get the cards up, so Mikalea is doing an awesome job reading, and I have to say thank you because not enough screens. I'm being silly. But I actually played this card a whole bunch already. I've already gotten Mythic on Arena with mono green aggro in Standard. Holy crap. This card's better than it looks on the surface, and I think a lot of people have this as like the best green rare in the set at this point. So the way that this card plays out is you obviously get your 2/2, but the thing is that the second level is pretty decent in multiples. It's not hard to get a situation where you have 1 or 2 of these in play, and your just creatures are really easily the very biggest thing on the battlefield. And then eventually you get to level 4 and just have this card advantage that's really hard with other decks to deal with because it's an enchantment. I'm surprised with how good this card has played out, Mikalea. I saw it, I thought it would be decent. It is far surpassed that.
Yeah, initially looking at this card, I don't know that would have been like, oh, I need to put this in a deck right away. But it definitely makes sense how, you have a little bit of a mana sink for green where every once in a while you can get a little bit get flooded. So this gives you some answers and also just lets you have some very powerful attacks. But yeah, I'll pay 2 mana for a 2/2.
Yeah,
especially when there's extra abilities with it.
Yeah, it surprised me. It lets you like, especially in things where like your opponent also has large creatures. It just makes it really easy for you to have the largest creature and make combat really frustrating for your opponent. When you think about like, okay, well if I attack here, they have to double block. I take out their biggest creature, and then next turn I have the biggest creature all over again. So that's really nice. What is your first card that you might want to talk about?
Yeah, so my first card is Divine Smite, and this is 1 and a white instant. Target creature or planeswalker an opponent control phases out. If that permanent is black, exile it instead. So this one just caught my eye as, we were playing a lot of Historic in the last couple weeks, and I kept running into. I ran some mono black vampires. I know there's a mono black deck out there, and there's various decks that are running running creatures and planeswalkers that this card would hit. So I see this being a relevant sideboard card for Historic.
Also, this is good against the deck that you were a big fan of in Historic that people didn't get to hear about, which was the Enchantment Deck, because you can just phase out their. Oh no! Do all things attached to it also phase out?
Oh my! Okay,
because some of those cards do that.
Out, treat it and anything attached to it as though they don't exist until they.
Dang it! All right, it doesn't work the way I wanted it to.
Yeah. No.
No, I think that anything that provides specific hate for a color, for a good cost, usually ends up being relevant. We have another one of those that's on both of our lists. But yeah, I usually find. I don't know. I like hate cards. Maybe this is a good opportunity to talk about this. I like these kind of cards. I know a lot of people are like, they're too annoying and powerful. But it's like, listen, you get this or Blood Moon. You gotta be, or Tsunami or whatever. Like, you gotta pick.
I mean, this is something you're putting in your sideboard, right? And it's probably a 2 of, unless the meta is really something that you need something to deal with something in black specifically. Yeah, sure, they're annoying sometimes, but they're not. I don't think they're overpowered, and they're providing answers, and you just have to be aware that you need to be playing around them when you're playing these decks that they hate out.
All right, the next card on my list, Mikalea, is very much not going to see play until at least Eldraine leaves. But next up for me, I have another class. I have Paladin class.
Yes, Paladin class is it's just a white mana enchantment class. And level 1 is spells your opponents cast during your turn cost 1 more to cast. Level 2 costs 2 and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1. And then level 3 is 4 and a white. Whenever you attack until end of turn, target attacking creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike.
I feel like I'm the only one that I saw that saw this card and was like, this is freaking really powerful. Because every single one of these modes is good. And on rate. Like, all of these modes are good, and I would pay that amount of mana for them.
So my take is, I think the modes are maybe slightly more expensive than I want to be paying for those abilities. However, I think the first ability is very relevant. So, yeah, I guess you have to pay a premium to get your creatures to get +1/+1.
I mean, when was the last time we got Honor of the Pure? Like,
I don't know.
8 years?
It feels like yesterday.
Sorry, am I aging us?
It's probably like 2012. It's probably like 2012.
It's a long time ago. Like, we get Glorious Anthem. That's what we get, and we have to like it, Mikalea.
I don't even play mono white aggro.
One of the nice things, I think Honor of the Pure actually did only give it to your white creatures, and that one's 2 mana, and this gives it to all your creatures. I think this card is quite good. I think this card could see playing Historic. I think this card could see playing Standard. I personally am not a huge fan of white aggressive decks. I say that, and then I'll probably, play a ton of this card. But I think this card is really strong. It's also really powerful in multiples, where, like, making your opponent's spells cost 2 more during your turn just makes it really hard for them to interact with you. And then obviously, like, the +1/+1 also, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't hate play. I already want to play 4 of this card, because I want to draw it, and then it rewards me for having multiples. Which is, I think, usually a sign of a card being really good in Standard. So.
I definitely think this is probably going to be a card that it's really going to depend on how the meta shapes up.
Yeah, I need a lot less Lovestruck Beasts for me to want to play this card, but and Stomps specifically.
Hey, they can't cast that Stomp on your turn.
I mean, they can't. They can't. Trust me, I've cast 4 mana Stomps in my life when there was what was in play the other day that I was casting 4 mana Stomps. Anyway, I think that another thing is just like, turning off your opponent's counter spells. Like a couple of sets ago, those blue-white foretell cards, like blue-white control is just waiting in the wings for, these ultimatums to go bye-bye so that it can have its time in the sun with really powerful cards. With Doomscar, with what is the one, the draw one called? Into the Multiverse or something?
Oh, yeah, I believe that is one.
And saw it coming, right? So, like, there's all of these inexpensive blue-white control cards that I think, you're going to be really happy that you have something that makes their deck more expensive against. So, yeah, I think it's a post-rotation card, but it is one that I think you should keep your eye on, and I will probably be buying 4 of them, so. Which is weird, because they'll
How much are they right now?
So, I don't know. They're probably no money. I don't know. I don't know what Magic cards cost.
Look by close to tab.
I don't know what Magic cards cost, Mikalea. Your next one is Grandmaster of Flowers.
Yes. Our first Planeswalker of the day. And I think our only Planeswalker of the day. Spoiler. But it's 2 and 2 white. Legendary Planeswalker. And as long as Grandmaster of Flowers has 7 or more loyalty counters on him, he's a 7/7 dragon god creature with flying and indestructible. He starts at 3 loyalty. His +1 is target creature without first strike, double strike, or vigilance can't attack or block until your next turn. And a second +1 ability is search your library and or graveyard for a card named Monk of the Open Hand. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle.
So Monk of the Open Hand is a 1 mana 1/1 that gets +1/+1 whenever you play another one. Is that right?
Your second spell each turn.
Your second spell. So it doesn't have to be another one of these.
Yeah, I think it's a counter too.
Yes, sorry.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's better.
I saw this
It
card
feels better to me
immediately,
than
and
the
obviously the first thing that I did is look for the other one.
Right.
So while you're pulling that up, I just want to say that +1 ability to make a creature not attackable. I played enough against enough Gideon of the Trial to know that ability is probably a little bit underrated and far more annoying than people think it is.
Yeah, so I think it's worse than Gideon's ability.
A little bit, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but you know, you can get cute with it. Play it post combat in your turn if your opponent doesn't have creatures, because I believe you do need a target to +1, do that +1 ability, but you don't need a target to do that +1 ability.
Interesting.
I think sometimes I'm bad at rules, but so yeah, but I do think that ability is interesting and relevant, and yeah, depending on what's being played in standard, could be less good, significantly less good than like what Gideon's ability was. But
hey, we could just
meta that's just.
We could put
Sorry,
my last card. I was gonna say we could put my last card in the same deck as this card. Have this be our top end.
Mm-hmm.
Just have really large creatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so the second +1 ability is actually what I really liked about this. I like that there's this Planeswalker that you can have come into play, kind of on your top end of a white aggro deck, and get back your creatures, because you can go search your graveyard.
Yeah.
For these. So I think that's powerful. I think just if you can get this to the 7 loyalty, that is a super great finisher. So yeah, between being able to go find creatures in your likely aggressive white deck, or and maybe this even fits into some type of control deck, right? Because it's that +1 is it can't attack or block until your next turn. So you could shut down your opponent's creature from attacking if they just have one large creature you're worried about at that point.
Yeah, I think this card. This was one of the cards that I was pretty excited about when I saw it spoiled. Also, I was like, this is probably better than people are giving. It's funny. I actually feel like this set, in a lot of ways, is more powerful than the last set. Maybe not more powerful than. I think it's more powerful than Strixhaven. I don't know if it's more powerful than the snow, whatever the snow stat was called.
Yeah. My take right now is that I think Strixhaven has individual cards that are more powerful, but I think the overall average power level is higher in the set.
Yeah, that could be true. Should we go on to my next card? My next card is on your list too. And I have this card on my list for a very specific reason, so I'm interested to hear why you have it. But I have Burning Hands.
So, it's on my list because I want to go back.
Should we read it first?
Oh yes, we should read it.
You're okay.
That's a good idea. So Burning Hands, 1 and a red instant. Burning Hands deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that permanent is green, Burning Hands deals 6 damage instead. So, back when I was going into VML playoffs, I wanted to play mono red because I was on the play and I knew my opponent generally played decks that were somewhat weak to mono red. With one exception. I think she had averaged at least 2 Elder Gargoyles in her deck every single week.
So this is the exact reason I wanted to talk about this card. Is I've played a lot of mono red in historic and standard over the last couple months, as well as just like Gruul decks, right? Holy crap. So there are 2 cards specifically that are really freaking hard to kill in those style of decks. Nissa and Elder Gargaroth. Like, holy crap, are those cards annoying. Like, you spend all your resources to kill the Nissa, or the 3/3, and like you just don't have anything left. And then with Elder Gargaroth, it's just like, I don't even know what to do. Like, it's just sitting there.
Guess I'll just lose.
Yeah, like, it's so annoying. I mean, Arcop Crasher, I think, only sees play because Elder Gargaroth freaking exists. Yeah, it's the same thing for me. I think that card is really hard for not just. I mean, I think it's hard for Boris decks to deal with at times. I think it's hard for mono red. I think it's hard for. I mean, I know that I got Mythic with Naya in standard before this mono green run, and like, if I didn't have Giant Killer, like Giant Killer was the reason that I did it, because I just gotta kill every Elder Gargaroth in my way. I think that card is here to stay in Historic. I mean, people play that card over Thragtusk sometimes in Historic. Like, that is how powerful that card is. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, giving red a removal spell that deals with those bigger green threats. And Lovestruck Beast. This gets Lovestruck Beast.
It does.
But also, you're not upset to draw it when your opponent doesn't have a green card. It's still 2 damage to a planeswalker or creature is still relevant.
Yeah, the thing is like, you know, if you're playing something
it's
like
not as good.
if you're playing something like Lava Coil, right, that you're boarding in against aggro decks and large green decks anyway, this is just better in a lot of cases for Historic. And then in Standard, I mean, there's not even something comparable to this. I can't, like...
Yeah, what, you're paying 5... Or you're paying 3 mana to deal 5 damage?
Yeah, I mean, you've got...
Not killing the Elder Gargaroth?
Yeah, it's like Soul... Is it Soul Seer or something? That, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just... This is very needed. And also, kind of like we talked about with that card you had earlier on your list, the one that exiled the black permanent.
Smite.
Yeah, I just think this is a good way to do hate cards, where it's like, listen, I can play this card and not be ashamed. Like, I can have this card on my sideboard, board it in against mono red aggro if I need more removal, and board it in against, you know, big dumb green creatures. And that's like a good hate card. It answers a specific problem that you have in Elder Gargaroth while also allowing you to be flexible against, you know, more aggressive decks.
I agree. But yeah, you're taking a slight hit on power.
Yep. Should we let's do Portable Hole, and then we'll do the other one that we have both of.
Okay, so Portable Hole. It's a single white mana artifact. When Portable Hole enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until Portable Hole leaves the battlefield. First off, can we have a flavor talk about like shoving Edgewell Innkeeper in a Portable Hole?
Can we rewind? What is the mana cost of this?
A single white mana.
And it's an enchantment?
Artifact.
Oh, it's an artifact. Okay.
Yeah. So kind of like Last Casket, costs 1 less mana, but hits mana value 2 or less instead of 3 or less.
Why can't this be an enchantment so that I can put it in my Archon deck in you know, all the formats where I want to do that? This card's sweet.
Yes.
Do you see this more as a side? Oh wait, hold on. Let's have your flavor conversation first. You want to put Edgewell Innkeeper into a Portable Hole, is what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying like the flavor of like trying to put Edgewell Innkeeper is like a pretty. It's a pretty big dude. Like trying to get him in the Portable Hole. Like I don't know.
Are you calling him fat? Is that what you're saying?
I wasn't calling him fat. I was just late.
Just kidding. I like it. Here, can I ask? Do you think this is more of a sideboard card or a main deck card?
I think it will be main deck post rotation. I think Last Casket is probably just more what you want to be doing right now, but I do see the potential of it being a main deck card after rotation.
It's so funny to me when I look at like what has happened to White's removal. Do you remember when we had Condemn and we just didn't play it for years? Like, it was in every core set for like 3 or 4 years. We're like, nah, not good enough. Like, what would you give for a Condemn now?
You know, if it didn't target an attacking creature and it was just like, if one creature attacks, I'd love that, like against like a Goldspan Dragon or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, that would be quite nice right now.
I obviously that wouldn't deal with Edgewell Innkeeper though. You know, to go back to your other point, I think this card seems quite good. I also kind of like, I also like, this also kills tokens, right? because it's just converted mana
Yes.
cost. Yeah, I think this card, I see this as kind of a, depending on the deck, like, you know, either a 2 of in the main deck, 2 of in the sideboard type of card. But also, you know, 1 mana is those, you know, you're getting what you're paying for, and I think it's good. So, Dragonfire?
Yeah.
Or is it Dragon's
Yeah,
Fire?
let's talk about Dragon's Fire. It's Dragon's Fire.
Dragon's Fire.
The fire belongs to the dragon.
That's, you know, the way it should be. The way it should be, Mikalea. So this card is a red and 1?
Okay, this is correct. Instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand, or choose a dragon you control. Dragon's Fire deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you reveal the dragon card or choose a dragon as you cast the spell, Dragon's Fire deals 3 damage equal to the power of that card or creature instead.
So I have a lot of thoughts about this card. The first one is that I really love that they don't just make you reveal from your hand, you can also choose something in play, and it's as it's cast, so it's not like they can kill the creature in response. Maybe they can, actually, now that I'm thinking. I don't know. Now I'm questioning myself. You would think that it would gain the quality as it's cast.
Sure how that works.
Yeah. Somebody leave a comment. I'm sure. I used to be a judge. I'm not anymore. I think a couple things. One, we already have seen dragon decks be successful in standard, and almost none of those cards are rotating. Second, those decks are getting upgrades. It is very clear that they want us to be casting dragons. And third, we kind of talked about how, like, sometimes big dumb things can be a problem for, you know, non-black decks, non-white decks. And so whether you're, you know, if you're in that teamer color range, so if you're in that kind of teamer color range, it can be really hard for you to deal with large creatures. And I think this does a really good job of helping with that. This one, I think it says Planeswalkers too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, this card seems so strong. It obviously only goes in, like, decks with... The thing is, like, how many dragons do you need to play this? Like, if you just have 4 gold spend dragons, are you playing this, Mikalea?
Probably.
Yeah, like...
I mean, like, there's plenty of 3 damage to creature or planeswalker spells that we're playing anyways, and they all have upsides, but I think that upside of just being able to deal an extra damage could outweigh some of the other spells, like, Burning... Scorching Dragonfire. That's one.
I agree. I think that there's... I mean, even the one that you discard a card and draw a card. Like, this depending on the metagame, this card is really strong with just 4 gold spend dragons. But I also just really do believe that you could be playing a deck with 8+ dragons in it pretty easily at this point.
Yes, I agree.
And
we have Dragonstorm in Historic, right?
we
when do I get
do.
Start doing this with my life?
I actually did see somebody get Mythic with a Dragonstorm deck on.
Was it one of the Japanese players played a Dragonstorm deck?
Oh, there was one at the PT thing. I don't know if it was like a league weekend or a PT, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
What's your next card, Mikalea?
My final card is Cave of the Frost Dragon. This is a land. If you control 2 or more lands, Cave of the Frost Dragon enters the battlefield tapped. It taps for a single white mana, and it also has an ability. 4 and a white. Cave of the Frost Dragon becomes a 3/4 white dragon creature with flying until end of turn. It's still a land.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about the manlands. I think the red one's really good. I think this one's really good. The blue one's probably pretty good. But as far as, like, monocolored decks, I would rather have snow-covered lands in my green decks and my red decks, whereas my white aggressive decks, there's not really a reason to place the snowlands. So, like, having this over... what is the name of the...
Faithless Haven?
Faithless Haven makes a lot of sense. I like this one a lot. It also comes to play untapped, lets me cast my white aggressive cards early, I think this card's really strong.
So it's funny that you mentioned aggressive decks. I'm over here thinking about blue-white control and historic.
That's fair. Do you like this one over the
Yeah.
blue one in those moments?
You know, I've been thinking about that. I think I do.
That's flying.
It's hard to say. I haven't really played a whole lot of blue-white. This one it's 1 mana less to activate, correct?
Oh, the blue one's pretty expensive to activate, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say it's 6 or 7 mana.
Yeah,
I think
it's a lot.
But I think the fact that you can get Teferi in play, be untapping on turn 6, leaving 3 mana up with this one is relevant, because that's what I know. Every single time I've played a manland in a blue-white control deck historically, you want to have that mana up for a counter spell, or something along those lines. So my thinking on this one just being a little bit cheaper to activate I felt like that was relevant.
Yeah, I do think that this and the red manland in this set are the strongest two. I also think that they have the most potential in multiple archetypes. Like the red one, I think goes in Gruul mono red. Kind of fits into lots of different decks. And I agree with you that like this having flying makes it a prime candidate also for, like you said, blue-eye control. While also obviously being really good when you're, playing all of the. We almost have a deck here. We've got four Paladins class, 4 Grandmaster of Flowers, 4 of the guy that Grandmaster of Flowers gets, 4 Cave of the Frost Dragon. We're really crushing it here, Mikalea.
It's almost like they printed good white cards.
I know, right? Anything else you want to say before we move on to my final card?
Not much. I'm just very interested to see how these cards do impact standard. Like you mentioned, the red one looks pretty good. I still think I like Faceless Haven significantly better than the red one, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's gonna it would be hard to overturn Faceless Haven, I think, in the green and the red decks, but I think that this has a spot in any of the white decks. Orb of Dragonkind.
Okay, this is 1 in a red artifact. 1 and tap. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast dragon spells or activate abilities of dragons. Red and tap. Sacrifice Orb of Dragonkind. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a dragon card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order.
I saw a tweet. I don't remember if it was by. I can't remember if it was by Matt Sperling or by Paul Rietzl, maybe. Anyway, they were like, "This is going to convince people to play Nicobolas again, and that's bad, and you shouldn't do it." And I'm like, "No, this is going to see a good amount of standard play because there's like 4,000 dragon cards apparently that we get to play right now." I think this card is strong, and it obviously only goes in one deck, right? You need dragons, but this is like one of those like linchpin cards where your deck gets substantially better when you get card selection and kind of ramp out your dragons. Are expensive, let's be honest. Like they're not cheap creatures, so having something that can help you get to them faster and find them for not a lot of mana, I think is pretty strong.
Yeah, I think that's relevant. I don't think I'm super excited about this card. Obviously, turn 4 Goldspan Dragon sounds awesome.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think I'm super high on it, but it wouldn't shock me to see someone figure out a list to put this in.
I'm not gonna lie. When I put this on my list, I did not know the caveat on that mana. I thought it just fixed your mana as well. I did not realize you could only use it for dragons until you just read it. So, but I do still think that if I'm playing a dragon deck, there will be versions of it that really want this card. But yeah. So those are our.
And this is almost like this seems like an immediate EDH card too.
Oh, probably. I mean, I'm sure this card will be like $15. Like, it's got dragons. It looks for dragons. Get your dragons out. I'm sure it'll be, one of those things that people love.
Well, if you think it's gonna be $15, it's currently like $4,
Oh, there you go.
I believe. If oh,
I
okay. The special art is like $4. The normal art is like $225.
I'm gonna go buy all of them, Mikalea. This is a long-term spec right here. Anything you want to say before we wrap up?
I'm excited to try some of these cards in standard 2022. I think there's other cards in the set that I think are going to shine that we didn't mention, but
yeah, I really like.
I personally I want to try to find maybe a couple cards that were relevant now and maybe not as talked about.
Yeah, I like this set a lot. I'm excited to talk about limited next week. Next week we're doing our top 3 commons, top 3 uncommons. So it should be, a really fun episode. I think that it's funny. A lot of this set has been kind of hit or miss for people, from what I've seen on the interwebs, as far as like, I don't know. I don't know why it matters if you're not like a D&D player and like you don't get some of the stuff. Like, it's still Magic the Gathering, and I thought every card we talked about today was really cool. Some obviously more powerful than others, some more flavorful in flavor that maybe you and I don't get. But yeah, I'm excited to play with this set, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about limited. I know you are too. Like, I'm sure we're both like sitting here like we want to jump off this call and just start drafting.
I'm just gonna add in for the end. I'm pretty excited to see what, after talking about Grandmaster of Flowers, I'm actually really excited to see if like something can happen with this card in standard.
That's awesome. I actually thought to myself, I want to build a deck now. Like, I want to build a mono white deck now. So, well, my internet's gone out, so we're gonna jump off a little bit quicker than normal. Thank you so much, Mikalea, for joining me today. Thank you so much to the listeners. If you get a chance to like, subscribe, or leave a review, it's the most helpful thing you can do for our podcast. You can find me at Spencer30 each. You can find Mikalea at Mythic Mikalea. You can find the podcast at Arena Mythicast. If you get Mythic this month, don't forget to tweet at us with the hashtag ready for battle. We'll make sure to try and get you on the show, as we'll give you smash that retweet button for you. Thank you, everybody, so much, and we will see you guys next week as we talk about our top commons and uncommons in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.